couple of comments from Coach, and we'll open up for questions.
Obviously coming back, and again, it feels a long way away now because you're always in all the way in. But I know you guys will probably ask questions about it. First time we've talked, but kids, young men really fought really hard, to go cross country and do that. Wasn't perfect, far from it, never will be. But they did a great job in finding a way to win a game on the road, all the way across the country, all that good stuff. But the biggest thing they did, they had great resolve. They just had a great mindset on the sideline. And no matter what the end result would have been, I would have still felt the same way about how they handled the sideline. So I'm not saying that because we won. I'm saying that because we did the right things to give us the best chance to win. Because I've been on the side of it where I thought guys handled things great and it didn't come out your way, but once you go the other way, you have no chance, and our guys just handled those situations well. But now I'm so far gone from that, and, obviously, Tuesday practice today, I thought we did some things well, but a lot of stuff to clean up as we get ready for Weber, and we know, it's going to be a tough battle, but it's going to be a lot of fun, play our home opener.
I didn't see it as much from the press box, but watching it back, I saw Ross getting hit, stepping up in the pocket, making plays. Did that stand out to you at all, game day or when you were watching it back?
It did. Sometimes for me, I got to go see it back to realize, because I'm so entrenched in what's the next call and that sort of thing. But I did. There were a few times, even during the game, I noticed it. Especially after the flagrant or whatever the targeting call, he came back the next play and stood right in there. So that just shows a lot about how he just wasn't being, and you don't know that about a QB in college until they play, because you don't do that in practice. It's the one position where it takes getting in a game to really find out how they're going to react in live bullets, and that was something, regardless of other things we all need to work on, that was something he did really well in terms of just standing in there and keeping his eyes downfield around the rush, operating in confined spaces.
Sounded like the guys were rallying around him anyway, but a quarterback who shows that kind of toughness, does that do something for the players around him?
Absolutely. It does, because, again, it's natural. You see him and you don't see him ever get hit in practice. You respect his position and stuff, but he's the one who, isn't involved in a lot of contact in practice. So you're kind of always just wondering, how's that going to be when he's out there? And like I said, he answered that question really well. But at the end of the day, he'll be the first to tell you he has to keep answering it. He has to keep working on little things. We all do, little things to improve going into week 2.
Fans there's been a question of where was Melquise? He's a very dynamic guy. Was he just not in the game plan, or what on Saturday?
Yeah, there's things that we're doing, and there's certain levels of where the guys that are getting certain practice reps or that way through camp, we're ready to go within the game plan. So at some point, if he's back, that'd be great. But as of right now, the 6 or 7 that are out there were the 6 or 7, and I don't even know if we play 6 receivers, 5 or 6, or whatever that number was. Those were the guys that have been the consistent through fall camp.
The tight ends, they were in there a little bit. Obviously, Malik was in there. Was that just something that you didn't want to use that game, want to show, or just not in the game plan, or?
It just depends. Each game's going to be a little different, and we just felt like using Malik in the role we did with him, and then either 3 receiver sets, sometimes 2 receiver sets, but 2 receiver sets, 3 receiver sets, and a decent amount of 4 receiver sets kind of gave us the best chance to win, in that way. So we'll see. It just all, at the end of the day, we're going to be multiple to the point where I want to get, the guys who give us the best chance to win, whatever position that is on the field. And that's, the mindset we're going to take.
You're going to look like a pro-style team one week, a spread team the next, and then somewhere in between, whatever you need, right?
Yeah, you never know, and certain seasons might be different. Certain seasons you just might be, more spread out, just based on, again, your personnel. And our guys, handle that. The ability, it takes a mental approach by our guys to be able to handle that type of versatility within our offense, and they've done a good job of that.
Speaking of Malik, what went through your head on that 4th and 1 call where you threw to him?
I just said I trust him. He's going to make the play, between Ross and it wasn't necessarily, most of the time that ball goes to Malik, but there are other receivers on that route too. But I just trusted the play would work, and as it was being thrown, I had never had a doubt.
What have you seen out of Weber State? Coach Wilcox the other day mentioned that they play up. They're going to bump press a lot. What have you seen out of them?
They're physical. And Coach Hill's done a great job. I got to see that firsthand. When he took over that program, and just what they do in terms of their mindset. They know who they are, their identity, and it is to be in your face. They play an aggressive style, we didn't play them last year when I was at Eastern, but 2 years ago they did an incredible job against us on defense and what he did. So, you know, in terms of what they do defensively, yeah, they bring extra guys up there. They're not afraid to get in your face. They play very physical. So it's going to be a tough challenge for us. There's no question.
What was your biggest challenge against them when you played them 2 years ago? What was the toughest nut to crack?
Yeah, I think we struggled. You know, they brought a lot of guys up, so it was tough necessarily to run the ball, and we struggled at times to either win in man or when we did win to complete passes. But that's a credit to them too. You know, and some of the coverages they were playing, they changed it up a little bit too, so they mixed it up enough as well. So we just, you know, we didn't operate really well, but I give credit to a defense. Sometimes when you don't operate very well, that means they're disrupting things, and they did a good job of that on that day.
When you look back when you're looking at on tape of them, at least from last week and then tape from last year, do you see the same things that you saw 2 years ago?
Oh yeah, they were a playoff team last year for a reason, and the biggest reason they were a playoff team is because they know exactly who they are, their identity, and they're a tough, hard-nosed outfit on all three phases, you know, offense, defense, and special teams, but specifically defense, yes, see a lot of the same things.
Leonard got quite a bit of time for number 3 running back. What's he doing, and how's he progressing?
He's just catching touchdowns, right? I mean, that's all he's doing. But no, he's progressing great. I mean, we knew going into the game that all three of those guys, in terms of Trey, Vic, and Pat, were all going to give us a great chance to win. And and some games might be different. You know, you just never know. You might have some games, and I told them that. Some games, one of you might get the bulk of it, the other two don't. Or some games, two of you play, and one, you just never know. But I just know that we have three guys that all bring a little bit different stuff to the table, and I think it's, in Pat's situation, he had earned that, in terms of what he showed in fall camp, and obviously when he was on the field, he made some plays, obviously a huge one.
What does he bring?
He brings a little bit of everything. He's got a lot of, he's very diverse in what he can do at tailback. You saw it. He can get out. He can run routes. He understands. He's incredibly smart, like all these young men are. I mean, that's what's one of the most amazing things I notice in one of the differences being here is just how well they grasp things. But Pat is at another level. So you're able to put in a lot of things with him, do a lot of different things. He can be a guy that maybe doesn't even get as many practice reps, yet he's still going to be able to see it and know it. So when you call upon him. So, but from a skill set standpoint, he brings a little bit of everything. He gets out on the edges. Not that he doesn't run between the tackles, but a lot of times some of where he's at his best is when he gets out on the edges with certain run plays, perimeter stuff, or downfield catching the ball.
Not that it's a level of comfort, but is it at least nice to have a familiarity with the team that you're seeing on tape this week?
I don't know. We didn't even play them last year, and you have some. I mean, yeah, I don't have any comfort in the fact, because I know they're going to come out here and play well, and we just have to. We got to stay hungry. We got to stay humble. We got to understand that every week's a new week, and that these guys are going to they're going to come in here. They're a very good football team coming in here to try and win a W on the win a ball game on the road. So we just got to look at it that way. So I know having not played them last year even. It's going to be like the same thing. Yeah, it's going to be like the same thing next year when we study.
We've already seen FCS teams with upsets over FBS. I mean, not just this year, but in previous years. And for you, coming from FCS, do you feel like that talent gap is a lot narrower than people might think between FBS and FCS? I do, and that's not taking anything away from certain talent gaps, certain levels, but I do think if you go back 15 years ago, yeah, I think it is different. I just think part of the reason is I just think there's more very good high school football players coming out, and there's only so many scholarships that could be offered. So all of a sudden you have all these guys. I mean, I don't get into the ratings deal, but if you did want to say you got this 3 over here and you got this 2 over here, but really it might be more like that's a 2.9 and this is a 2.7, and how much different are they? And 2 years later, one might be better than the other. So, I mean, I just think there's so many more high school football players that have the ability to play at the college level that it is spread out more throughout the country. So I think that's why you're seeing some of that. These are very good football teams at all levels, and, every game has to be earned. I mean, does that also make it easier? I don't think the guys would overlook anybody, but do you kind of, again, instill that in them, like, this is a good team, it doesn't matter that they're lower division? Any sense of calmness, or do you just see the same hunger from your guys?
We better have the same hunger. We have no reason all of a sudden. We haven't done anything yet. Last week is in the rearview mirror, and anything we want to accomplish this week has to be earned. It's for the outsiders to talk about how many we're going to have now, but I know all we need to think about is everything we have to do to try and earn one this week, and it's going to be tough.